So,
All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the city of Perry
it's on the outfit.
at 6:16. Roll call, please.
Coffee.
Here.
Bledsoe.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Davis. Here. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Wortham.
All right, item number one, we have the consent agenda. I believe we have 4 items there.
Motion to remove items B and C.
Oh, can we do that too?
Motion, second?
I second it.
Okay. All right,
B and C.
yeah. So we have B and C off. Do we want to approve it A and D first, or?
I make a motion that we approve items A and D on the consent agenda.
Second. And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall. Yes. Davis. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Items moved for discussion. We'll move for discussion. Want to start?
Yes. I guess the first one, item B, is I just thought it was a good idea to explain what the Zoll monitors and ventilators and pumps and scopes were. I kind of understood that, but I don't know that everybody would have known what those things were and what the funding was provided for those. I think maybe after I thought a little bit, maybe that was a grant that we had got a while back. Is that for the new ambulance?
No, this is, good questions. This is for a OSERF grant that we're applying for. We're not gonna find out if we get it until several months out. We get more points if we give any kind of a match, so I did a 10% match baked into FY 26's capital projects. So we're just looking ahead and saying, hey, if we wanna get free money, let's take some of that money that we're anticipating in FY 26 and allocate it now for this grant. As for some of the items, the Zoll monitor, we currently have a life pack in our ambulance. That's for your EKG, your blood pressure, things like that. But 15 years old, it's not serviceable, and so we're looking to replace that. The ventilator, we have one, but you really need 2 because if we're doing a transfer, one is out and we need one in town. The IV pumps, we don't have IV pumps. We currently use the hospitals, I've been told, when we're doing transfers. And then the 3 scopes for the incubation they need replaced. They're old. So those are just some items we need for our ambulance department, looking ahead, trying to get free money and putting an allocation towards that match.
So, okay, so that's just going out for the grant.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess that was a little confusing in the
Let me ask you a
statement there.
question about that one before you go to the next one. When we make the budget out for the year for the fire department and the different departments, do we allow a certain amount of money for them to have for matching grants and things? Or is that?
We did, yeah. We put aside this amount for an OSERF grant.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's currently baked into that capital projects for FY 26.
okay.
So Nate, if we were unsuccessful in getting the grant, nothing happens, correct?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we'll take that money and use it towards other capital projects.
But we have to prove that we will do it so that we can apply and have them say, yeah,
Exactly,
we did
yeah.
approve the 10% matching.
Yep,
All
yep.
that stuff to get the points.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, that's that item. Pretty straightforward, just,
Yeah, well, I just think that if it would, maybe the wording could have been changed to where it would have been more clear that it was going out for the grant instead. I mean, I didn't read it as that. Just make it so sure that it's going out for the grant instead of acknowledging providing 10% for a grant.
okay. Yeah, good to know. I mean, that's the consent, sorry, I didn't want to come across like, that's straightforward, you shouldn't have asked about it.
Right, no.
I love the questions, you know, I'll always ask the questions.
So I think that's, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Any other questions on that one? Okay.
make a motion to approve?
Sure.
that one?
I'll make a motion to approve B.
And I'll second it.
Whenever you're ready.
1 second, I'm getting there.
I figured.
And who motioned?
Randy?
Randy and Gloria was the second.
Okay, and Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right. Item C is left. You wanna start with that?
Now, on the grader, the first thing that crossed my mind was that was another purchase that was in the consent agenda, and I didn't feel like that was the proper way to do that, as far as just trying to get some more information. I thought that we left the last council meeting, we discussed this, was just to see what our options were and then bring it back for us to have the discussion. And so that's why I think it's a good idea for us to pull that out and have the discussion now. Plus where is that funding gonna come from?
Yeah, good questions, and I appreciate it. Joe, you and I had texted a little bit back and forth on this one, and I expressed my gratitude in that, because if you're feeling that way, I'm sure that other council members are feeling that way. So let me answer some questions on this one. So this one as well is coming from FY26 funding. Now that hasn't been allocated yet, right? We haven't done the FY26 budget. And that's a little bit unorthodox to look at something like this and say, hey, I'm gonna recommend that we approve this purchase. The reason that we're looking at doing that is because Okeen is getting rid of their grader. They're wanting to do it as soon as possible, and so we've had 2 discussions in public meetings, one on the 21st of January, and then one during our budget retreat a couple of weeks back, where I talked about this, and we talked about, hey, where could we get funding to do this? And we talked about, well, we can just look ahead. We anticipate we're going to get X to put towards capital projects this coming year in July, and so we'll just take that money now to put towards this grader, because otherwise we're going to have to pay full price for the grader when we actually purchase it. So during those previous discussions, I'm totally fine whatever council wants to do. But the thought process was, hey, let's buy this now, because deals like this don't come up very often, where this grader is very low hours used. It's relatively new. It's been stored indoors. And I've been engaging with Richard, the city manager of Okeen, and just talking about, hey, what would a price look like here? He thinks their council would go for $112,000, which is about $38,000 less than something like this is probably worth what we could buy online. So that was the thought process there. Now, as far as being in consent agenda, I understand now that, in the future we want those items as actual agenda items, and that's just fine. But the reason I put it in consent agenda wasn't to be not transparent, but just because we've talked about it in 2 previous meetings, and my understanding was to move forward. So,
And I didn't remember talking about it in a council meeting. I thought we just talked about it at the budget retreat thing that we had.
yeah, we talked about it in both. We did the 21st of January's
Oh,
meeting
did we?
was when this was first brought up, and then we re-talked about it for the budget.
Well, I think
But
we go on
I
that day.
did think it was a good buy at the time, to get something that cheap. But I too thought that amount of funding to be in the consent agenda was not proper.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. In future, I'll put that as an actual agenda item, and I appreciate Joe taking the initiative to reach out and say, hey, let's not do that in the future. So,
And that should be competitive bid policy,
not biddy?
biddy.
yes.
I'm not sure who the competitive biddy is, but
So I know it's from, you said FY26, but if we were to buy it tomorrow, where is the money coming from exactly? Because we don't
Just
have it.
in stores, yeah. So just in our money we have allocated for emergencies, I guess.
so it would be reimbursed with funds from 26.
Yeah.
But that means, you said X earlier, but that bucket that what was that number? What is X
For capital,
for 26, yeah?
for 26 right now, we have allocated, let me look. So the anticipated funding for capital in FY '26 is 800,000.
And so that would be 113,000 less when we do approve
Yep,
that budget.
that's correct. Yep.
Actually, 100.
112.
Or, sorry, 120.
120.
Because you added the 85, if you
Yeah.
matched it.
What year model was that grader again?
2016.
I agree, we need to look at great deals. My opinion is sometimes a good deal is at bad timing. My personal opinion is I think we ought to maybe use that $112,000 towards something else. I mean, we've got another item on the agenda talking about 600,000. And I know we need to get our streets going, but the county has expressed being sincere with helping us continue to do our streets. And if we were gonna do something, maybe the laydown machine would be something that we'd look into better than a grader, even though this may be a good deal, it may not be the good deal for us at the time. The one thing that I'm concerned about a 2016 model grader with low hours is the mechanics of it. You know, if hydraulic seals haven't been used in a long time, they could be dry, and then as soon as you start using it quite a bit, it's liable to start leaking and throwing hydraulic oil everywhere, and then you'll be working on it. I mean, that's always, you always have ifs and buts with equipment, but I just think that we could maybe spend that 112,000 towards something that we don't have in the area to use. That's my opinion.
But if we don't have it, then how will we do our 15 blocks next year?
I think that's his point. There's a couple other pieces of equipment that nobody has around here, and currently we can utilize a grader from the county where we don't have a asphalt laydown machine at all. We're currently renting those.
Yeah, so the thought process there, and I realize there's a few different ways to look at this. The thought process there is the asphalt grader, if we rent it for another year, we'll have a better idea of what we'd like to buy. It just hasn't been used we've only used it once, right? And then the other piece of that is I'm just basing it off of our streets department saying, hey, listen, this would be a good purchase for us. It's the right size in terms of being skinnier than your typical grader. And then as far as the county stuff goes, I'm really grateful that they're willing to help, and I acknowledge that. I think just at some point we're going to have to pull the trigger on our own equipment because we're going to wear out that welcome really quickly. With 15 blocks, my thought is, if we're asking them, you know, how many hours of grading is that, you know, and at what point are they going to say, we've done a lot, you know? And so I realize that they want to help, I realize they're eager to help, but I just don't want to wear out our welcome with that equipment.
So Nate, would that grader be available then to also police the alleyways and stuff to keep them a little bit better shape?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that we like this one, is because it's skinnier so it can fit in the alleyways.
I know a lot of those are in bad shape.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't get one in the future, but there are, you know, I just know we missed a deal last year because we didn't have funding set aside for a dump truck. It was available for about $50,000 less than what we're going to pay for it this year. And it gives me heartburn to think, man, if we had just been faster, we could have saved $50,000. And now we're in this situation again, and I would hate to miss it. That being said, I realize that there's other things we can put the money towards, and I really am good, whatever you guys want to do. I don't have a super strong opinion about this. I think it's probably the best way to go, which is why I recommended it.
I think
Do they
one-
have any money left in their budget for this year to go toward that $112,000?
I haven't looked at that, but we could look and see.
We could look at funding a portion of it out of that. We could look at funding a portion of it.
Out of this year?
Sure.
Because we have had higher revenues and things like that that we weren't expecting. We've also saved a lot.
I was gonna just pull up last month's financials.
I think one thing that you're probably not familiar with, you know, that worries us is we got a deal on a zipper that's set for 5 years, you know, and
Yeah. I get that, and I don't have all the background you guys have. Even Joe talking about the, sitting for a long period of time. I have no mechanic experience. I change my own oil with it, like, so I can't speak to that. I'm just basing it off of the recommendation my streets guys are giving me. So you may be right. You may be right.
I mean, yeah, that's all, that's speculative, but, I mean, anything you buy used can have problems or not, but
Sure.
that is very few hours for, what is that, 24-year,
8 years.
28-year-old piece of,
No,
8 years,
8-year-old.
8-year-old.
8-year.
I hear what Joe's saying, and he's absolutely right, some of that could happen, but as a citizen of the county, at some point, I'm gonna get angry that they're loaning a grader to the city of Perry instead of grading my dirt road with it. And I just think that's something we gotta be mindful of as the leaders of the city, that we've got problems of our own, and we need to go address them.
My biggest concern is that when we did borrow the grader from them was during a time that they're not typically real active on grading roads. When we're looking at doing these 15 streets that we're wanting to do, it's gonna be a very active time for the county, and I don't know what would be available, if it would be available when we wanted it to. A grader.
And then it breaks on our watch and it's a big expense. That's not a concern. I just
There's a
know
lot of
from personal
ifs and
stuff that
buts.
happens all the time to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, this really isn't a black and white decision. This one's, I don't know if you can go wrong either way because we just don't have all the information.
And how much is a brand new one?
Brand new, ooh, I haven't even looked at that. We always buy used. I'm gonna guess 220. I don't know. I could look at it. But used ones of similar caliber are 140, 150.
Have there been-
165 8 years ago.
Did you find anything?
So as of January, they were about 3% under budget, which equated to about $15,000. So there's $15,000 plus, you all know interest income. I'm sure Russ tells you every single month. Interest income has been very, very strong. We're almost at 100% as of January. So to your point, the revenues are coming in strong.
I do think, Nate, if nothing else, just the amount of discussion around that kind of exemplifies why it probably shouldn't have been in the
Yeah.
consent agenda.
No, I agree. Yeah, at the end of the day, it helps protect me, right? It's like, wait, we talked about this and you guys said yes. So I really do appreciate it. I like that. Going forward, I'll make sure those aren't consent.
any more discussion?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve consent agenda item C with the correction to the wording competitive bid policy.
I'll second that.
Did you need anything in there saying a portion of it comes from their budget? I know, from their,
We'll fund it however.
Yeah, it's not specified how it's funded.
This is
so-
what,
okay.
It's just saying that we're gonna buy it, didn't say how.
Well, I meant like since she found maybe. Okay.
You could specify.
Either way, we're
one.
gonna have to do a budget amendment for it.
Okay.
You know, we're in January, so just kind of see how the rest of the year falls out as far as, but there will have to be a budget amendment for it, period.
And will that be
And that's
something
where we
we
would
have
find
to
it.
approve?
Yes, budget amendments come to you all, if it's
So at
in.
that point, we could say, take 15 grand out of this year, or
Yeah.
we could, we could,
So a budget is cash basis. If the cash is coming out this year, it will come out of this year's budget.
okay.
So at that point, when you all decide, when you vote on your next year's budget.
How much
you-
of it we want to reimburse?
Correct.
Okay.
You ready? Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp?
Yes.
Williams?
No.
Brown?
Yes.
All right. So I made a mistake. We're done with consent, but I did not, I skipped over invocation. Gloria, would you mind giving that to us,
We're
please?
just sitting
A
there
little
thinking, maybe we need to ask God to bless us.
Will you pray for, will you pray for that decision?
I will.
Yeah, I was just saying, include that in there, if you don't mind, and work that in.
Oh dear. Well, Father, we just come to you tonight with a heart of thanksgiving for your love and your mercy and your grace for us. And we thank you for caring about all the things that we're concerned about. And we thank you for the privilege and opportunity to serve you in the capacity that we're serving you as to serve the residents of Perry. And we do want to make wise decisions, and we ask, Lord, for your wisdom. And we ask you to bless us as we work through tonight's agenda, and let your peace rule our hearts and honor you in every decision that we make. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
When I realized that about halfway through the discussion, I almost paused everything. So we're gonna go back. Let's wait.
Good catch.
All right. Comments from those assembled. Let's see. All right. We'll go on to proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. We'll start with the council reports.
Oh, I mean,
Well, I just want to say that they have started work on the food pantry. They've got a lot of the stuff laid down on the ground that you can come see where it's going to be sitting, and I forget I was in layout, but it's the footing and stuff like that, and looks like it's going to be a really good size, and so it's happening.
Yeah, actually, the street department reached out to Subside asking to run a camera and check for taps and stuff. So we'll be doing that at the end of the week, I think, as long as the weather's cooperative.
All right, anything from two?
I don't have anything.
No.
Okay.
Um,
Let's do update on the hospital project from Courtney.
All right.
Good evening. I'll give you a quick update on how January financials were. We actually had a little bit of a harder month in January. We had a loss of about $121,000. Volumes were down just slightly. For an update on renovation, our mobile CT is in place. If you drive by the hospital, you'll see a trailer just parked there. That's the mobile CT. The old CT was taken out as of Friday, and renovation will start in that room. Steel walls have started going up in phase 1, which is the old surgery wing, which will be the observation wing. So we're moving right along. Some other updates that I gave. March will be a busy month of celebration. We kind of tag into March Madness and celebrate what we call our dream team for the system. And we celebrate all the awards we won last year. So I'll kind of give you some highlights. We won Forbes Best Midsize Employer for the second year in a row. 13th year in a row, we won Modern Healthcare's Best Places to Work. And one that we're really proud of is Newsweek. We were named for the 5th year in a row as one of the world's best hospitals. So to kind of give you an idea of what that award is Newsweek looks at about 30 countries They look at hospital recommendations from medical experts. They survey around 850,000 doctors and providers. They look at patient experience, which is our survey scores from patients. They look at our quality metrics. And so out of that, we were named in this World's Best Hospitals. For the state of Oklahoma, for the hospitals in the state of Oklahoma that were on this list, we ranked number 2, second to only St. Mary's in Enid.
Wow.
And out of these hospitals in Oklahoma, we were actually ranked number 1 for patient experience. So kudos to your wonderful staff here. Some other things we'll be celebrating in March. Doctor's Day is the 30th. Now that's a Sunday, so I don't anticipate any of you seeing your provider on Sunday, but if you see him close to around that date, thank your doctor. So that's kind of a busy month for us in celebration. So if you see your healthcare team, thank them. That's all I have, unless there's questions.
So from the initial timeline or estimates for a timeline, where are we?
On the renovation?
Yes.
I think we had a couple of weather delays, but nothing that's putting us more than like 2 weeks probably past what we anticipated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Christie, I think we have some employee tenure news.
Yes, we do. Today, sorry, I'm trying to do like 50 things here. Today, we actually had a little luncheon celebration for Autumn Jardot. As of last Friday, she has been with the city of Perry for 20 years.
Awesome.
She started part-time in February of 2005. We told her she's only got 20 more years to go and she can retire. She keeps saying she didn't know she could make it another 20, but we ensure her she could. But so we had a nice little luncheon today. We're all pretty full, but it was pretty nice. And she got a nice little wooden plaque from all of us and a few flowers. We invited her husband and her mom and her grandpa came up, and we also had Palma from OMPA, who she works alongside with quite often. So it's a nice little thing. So if you see Autumn, everybody out there, thank her for her service and dedication to the city.
Thank you, Autumn.
Yeah.
And thank you for announcing it.
No problem.
Brian, I think you've got a proclamation for us.
Yeah. So tonight I kind of get to wear 2 hats. Hi, everybody. For the last year, I've had the pleasure of serving as the president of the Oklahoma Code Enforcement Association. For you guys that don't know what that is, it is the licensing agency that is over all new hire code enforcement officers. They've got to come to a 3-day class. We train them up and then send them back out in the wild and feed them to the sharks. But anyways, so that's just kind of what we do. And then we're there throughout the rest of their career to mentor, just kind of be big brothers and all that. So there's the sales pitch for what that is. But on behalf of the OCEA, and I think this is something common to you guys that you can probably recognize, when the board has open spots, sometimes we struggle to fill those spots because nobody really wants to run for that and kind of be the one sitting there getting the finger wagged whenever we're not doing a good job teaching classes or something. So whenever we do have people that are willing to step up and fill that, in my heart, it needs to be acknowledged and applauded. So that's why I was crazy enough to dive into the deep end of that. And I would be a little bit of a hypocrite if whenever another one of our own stepped up to do that. And I feel like that needs to be recognized. And on camera here before all of you guys, Renee doesn't know this. She threw her name in for Sergeant at Arms, and she's finding this out real time. She ran unopposed, so Renee has been awarded that position by default and will be serving the state of Oklahoma as Sergeant of Arms for the OCEA board this next year. So that's why we're here. I'm not going to hear anything but her yelling at me tomorrow.
Don't worry, a lot of us are.
Thank you, Renee.
Pulled it over.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, item 6, we have, anything else there? I didn't miss anything, did I?
No.
No? Okay. City manager report on item 6.
Awesome. So we've got just a couple of things I wanted to touch on. The first is this 32nd sewer main extension on 32nd Street. They've begun the bore on that. You may have noticed if you've driven by there, they've been doing a lot of work. They were just 10 feet away from breaking surface and they ran out of battery. And so they had to pull it back out. And then when they've tried to get that same hole again, they haven't been able to get it. So they broke their bit. That's the word. I'm like, what's? They broke their bit. So anyway, they've been working really hard on that and are getting really close. And we're grateful for the work that they've done there and excited. The second thing is the Stonehill development. So we actually finished off the economic development agreement this week. We sent that over to them, and they weren't thrilled about the number that it's going to cost to get the electric in there from the get-go. Now, our electric department and OMPA say, hey, you really should go underground for this, just the way the cul-de-sacs line up, which is why the cost was a lot higher than what they were anticipating. We thought we may have been able to go above ground initially, and they were kind of basing it off of that verbal number. So we've gone back to them and said, hey, listen, if you want us to do it, we're going to go underground. Your other option is to bid it out. And then once a company says, hey, we'll do it above ground, we would look at the plan and approve that and get an approved list of materials for them to use. And then they can put it in. We then take over the electric after they've installed it with a warranty of a year or 2 years or whatever. So they're looking at that as a potential option, and they're going to get back to us. But there's been quite a few people who have called and said, hey, how close are you with the Stonehill agreement? So that's where we're at in that process. Any questions on that one?
Just to reiterate, that's electric. They're planning on another solution for water and sewer. Right?
That's correct. Yeah, we did offer the water and sewer. They are interested in providing that themselves. Yeah. Go ahead.
On the sewer bore under the highway there, I was driving by the other night with the sun kind of in my eyes, and I thought, oh no, we've hired a contractor with the wrong color drill, but luckily that wasn't the case.
I saw that today too. I was like, oh good, they're using ditch witch. So that's fine. The only other update I have, which is actually fairly important, is I wanted to give a brief update about the water projects. So Matt Coe, our city engineer, has been working hard on these. He's going to actually come the first meeting in April and give a comprehensive update. But where we're at with some of these are the sludge boxes. We'll talk a little bit about the funding for that later on in this meeting. But the design is being implemented created right now by Cimarron Valley Engineering. They're looking at the end of April to have that design finished, after which we have to finalize funding and then go up for bid for that project. So that one's coming along nicely. The main kill outs, we're still looking at a couple of different options. We've talked about doing that in-house, but we'd have to hire, we figure 4 more people, and we're just having a really hard time finding labor for that. I think talking to some of the other people in that blue collar industry, they're having a hard time finding labor for pretty much everything. And so we're still looking at that option. If we can't get that finalized within the next month or so, we're going to move to option 2, which would be to bid out that project in a similar manner like we're doing the sludge boxes. So that's where that one's at. And then with the plant rehabilitation, we've hired Cimarron Valley to come up with kind of a comprehensive plan of what that would look like with timelines and costs and things like that. We obviously have the initial estimate, but this is going to be a lot more detailed. So that's where those 3 projects are at. As mentioned, Co will come in April and do a really deep dive and answer any questions. I'm at the 30,000 foot view, but I can answer any 30,000 foot questions that you guys might have. Okay.
Well, I think the main thing is that we're trying to figure out how to tackle those projects, the water projects that we talked about in the town halls back, what was that, in November or whenever that was. And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to mention, it's a big piece of that rate increase, not the sole reason, but a big piece was, some of these larger projects that we have, and we are working on those, although, they're not in the stages where people are seeing that take place right now. So. The last thing I was going to say is the resident opinion survey has been sent out. We have about 300 people who have participated in that so far. We would love for a lot more Really, 100 more would be a super good number to go for. And the other piece of that is we only have one person under the age of 18 who's filled it out. So if you have kids and you're watching this, please encourage them to fill it out. They can just do it on your cell phone. It takes about 5 minutes, or you can do it on your cell phone for them. But we would love the youth and their opinion about the city of Perry. Some of those things have to do with parks, and as a dad, an older adult, I don't really care what's in the parks, but I know kids do. So please participate in that. You have another 2 weeks to do so.
Good.
So 2 weeks from today?
Yep, we'll close it.
Any other questions? Item 7, Chief Financial Officer remarks and monthly news.
So I see we spent a lot of money on chairs. They're really great. I'm just kidding. We haven't spent a lot of money on chairs, but the chairs are really great. Please see the after hours video if you'd like to see any of that. Okay, so invoice-wise, your February invoice, I can't believe I'm saying that. Audit work, FY24 audit. Jana and her crew were out last week or the week before. They're working through all the internal control documentation. We should be pretty close to issuing on the 24 audit. Everyone right now is getting their letter that the Oklahoma State Auditor is holding their gas excise tax until that report is filed. What does that mean for us? It means about $1,500 a month that's getting withheld. Once we submit our report to the state auditor, we will get that all in a lump sum. So it's a timing thing. Additionally, in the month of February, in addition to audit, we prepared for the budget meeting. We had some additional work on the fire union contract. We had our monthly work. And we're also working through a little snafu with the way that the express bill pay, which is the credit card processing, is reconciling into our pooled cash accounts. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to separate that out and take that down to the details as far as who's paying, who's not paying, and how it's getting reported. So a lot of detail work this month.
So
Yep.
are we behind on our audit? Is that what the state is?
So audit was due December 31st. Yes. And I'm going to tell you that I still have 23 audits. I still have fiscal year 23 audits that have not been issued.
So we're not the only one, is why they're withholding this?
No, which is why I mentioned that, because I feel like every single clerk or city council person has called me this week saying, we got this letter, and it sounds terrible. It's not terrible. It's just a timing difference. It's all going to be okay.
And I think it was mentioned, Jana's going to come in once we, to speak to us, is that right?
Oh, yes. She will come in and present the audit and give you the down low on, which it should be a clean opinion, but I can't say that until she's here to get through all of her process. But yes.
Do we have any idea roughly?
I would hope by the second meeting next month. Here's the deal. She works taxes as well. So it's the balance of getting through audits.
It's a timing issue.
It is a
That's all
timing
you
issue.
told us tonight.
It's just a typical, blame everything on the time.
Good. Any questions? All right. I noticed that on item 8 here, it says presentation, and we didn't have it on the chief financial officers. We didn't get the word presentation, but we'll do presentation of city attorney report in monthly.
I would come with a dance.
Well, that's because it is a prison. Working for other communities works out for Perry sometimes, and it works out for other communities. When you work for a lot of communities, you get a lot of synchronicity. You talk about the grader you approved tonight, that came from Okeen, where I represent that town. Last meeting, we had that resolution on film, television, and music videos that came from Winoka, because folks are interested in coming up there and filming, and they should be interested to hear. You have one of the coolest squares that, anywhere I've been. And in the OSERF grant that we talked about earlier, I was watching that grant. It was supposed to have come out for the last 5 months, and then they came out that it was a really small period, so I let Nate know, and he got Melanie on that. She hopped right on it. We got that grant. So it does help to work for other folks because there is some synergy there. You know, when you look at the biggest paragraph, it's economic development. How great is that? Been spending a lot of work there, and some of the work that I've been spending is the subject of a executive session tonight, and where, you know, there may be an action item there. I did work on the hospital project a bit, you know, from the last time, the Charles Hall Boulevard, and working out the lease and the purchase of that from the state are some things I did. The Stonehill edition added some major changes to that agreement. I think that beefed that agreement up. So we're doing a whole lot of economic development in this community. With respect to litigation, we had an executive session on tonight. I'm going to recommend that we don't convene on that. However, I think we have that case settled. We want to make sure that we have a settlement agreement, though, so that you can look at it in writing and ample time before you come in and consider that, and we can explain that in detail to you. You know, that's the last piece that we have to acquire. Legally, we've actually acquired it. It's just the process of finalizing that, so there wouldn't be any litigation or potential appeal. In addition, I did the litigation case, which you authorized me to do in the month of February, and that's the gun auction. That got filed, notices went up, and we had the hearing on that, and the judge signed the order. I'll tell you, the judge recommended that we actually do an auction. He says, he's big into guns. He said you get 3 times the money, and he said besides that, the courthouse phone, and I think even some city hall folks have been ringing up saying, when is that auction going to be? There's a lot of interest in going there. And if that got teamed with perhaps a surplus property auction that we had, you probably would be apt, and the guns were the piece de resistance, you know, you may get a lot of play there. That might be a good idea. In personnel, we had some personnel issues. We have an amendment to the personnel manual on the issue of dress. And then, of course, as you know, at the last meeting, we finalized the contract with the IAFF, and we got that signed. Planning and zoning, we finalized the special use ordinance, but the Planning Commission had insufficient number of members to meet. That was supposed to be on your agenda also tonight to approve, but they didn't meet, so that will come back to you in several meetings. The Historic Preservation Commission did meet, and they're setting up a meeting for March 31st. And at that meeting, they're hoping to approve the guidelines, and thereafter we can move forward with notifying the folks within the proposed district and informing the public on what historic preservation will be like, and where the district will be and how that will work. And then administratively, I, of course, attended all the meetings and assisted with the preparation of the agendas for the meetings we've had.
And to your point there, since you brought up historical preservation, we're also possibly planning a joint meeting with the public, the council, planning commission, and the city council, right?
Yeah, I think that this is a big enough issue that we're probably going to get members of the council and the planning and the Historic Preservation Commission to come. So my thought was we just have a joint meeting together, and we probably do it in the
event center.
In the event center, because we're probably going to get a group of folks. This is not just a notice in the newspaper; it'll be a mailed out notice. And so when people get mailed out notices, they get a little bit more, want to get a little bit more involved. So that's what we're planning. So that is coming, and it's going to be coming quickly.
Just want to let everybody know that too. So. Well, any questions? discussion on FY 2025 CDBG application. First time I read through this, I read it as sewer sludge boxes, and I'm glad I read through it again. I thought that was water. So,
Yeah, so this is a grant application. We talked a lot about that, the sludge box project, which is a $1.25 million project. This is our plan to get funding for that project. So the first piece of that would be to get $600,000 through a CDBG grant, which we were really close to getting last year, missed by 1 point. So we're redoubling efforts this year to get that, and that'll pay for the $600,000, the first 600 of that. Now we need $600,000 for a match, and so we've talked about some ways to do that. One of them is to take out debt and then apply for a principal forgiveness opportunity through DWSRF, which we've used in the past, and that could save us up to $1 million more on these water projects generally. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and I would just love some discussion on this, thoughts, questions. I've never applied for a CDBG grant before, so this is a first for me, but I've been in really good hands with Co and Bryce and some of the help that contacts they have in that industry. So anyway, open it up for maybe some questions.
What does CDBG stand for?
Community Development Block Grant from the federal government. And, and I think you know this, so I apologize if I'm just repeating something you know. But we've been receiving a notice of violation for this problem for a number of years. And of course, what this will do is give us a mechanical solution rather than having to dredge that and physically remove the effluent, which is a byproduct of treating the water. It's loam and silt and the like that comes mostly from Perry Lake, to tell you the truth, and gets deposited into a pond there. So with these sludge boxes, it would be dried and removed in the way we do out at the sewer plant. If you've been out there, we have sludge boxes there. So it cures an NOV. That's good. There's points for that. But that, if we don't get it done, it's going to become a consent order. And they've been very patient with us on this. This is a priority for them.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just say several years back, I'd see if somebody can help me remember. We did dredge those. Anybody remember what that cost us?
$250,000.
That's what okay.
Yeah, it's quite expensive to do. You have to do it every 5 years or so, 3 to 5 years.
We're thinking it could be as much as twice that much because of not only inflation, but contractors and because we've allowed it to accumulate for a longer period of time.
So Nate, no, sorry, go ahead. It's your turn.
It's fine. I was just gonna ask, so we didn't get this grant before because of what reason? Another community got it before us, or?
Yeah, it's just a point-based system, and we just missed it by 1 point, so a different community was, I would assume 1 point higher than we were.
Yes.
But we've gotten these in the past, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is how you paid for half your fire engine, if you remember. And then we've got it for
I remember.
water and sewer projects over the years. We try to get one of these. We try to tee one of these up every year. Now you've got to complete it. You've got to close it out so that you could apply. But we're good because we didn't get one last year. So there's even points for that.
And we've received a lot of CDBG grants through the years. We've been real fortunate
Yes.
to have gotten as many as we have.
You know, it has to do with the low and moderate income people in your community. It requires a survey, and as you remember, the firefighters were heroes. They conducted that survey probably 2 years ago now.
This will be the last year we can go on that one. We'll have to do it again.
We'll have to do it again.
That's what me and
Marita said.
Marita were talking
Yeah,
about.
so it's important to get this one this time.
I think last year we were worried that we wouldn't have enough points because we'd got the one the previous year and we didn't get those points.
So if we do get the $600,000 grant, we would take on debt to fund the other 600,000?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be just writing one check on that date, it would be spread over time?
Well, the question would be whether, the issue that Nate discussed is those water lines, whether he could get personnel to assist with those water lines. And if we can, then it would be combining, I imagine, these projects together, attempting to get a principal forgiveness loan, which is federal money, but it's forgiven, of $1 million, like we did 2 years ago, and then fund the rest of it with a loan.
Yeah, so for the principal forgiveness, you need at least $4 million worth of projects, which we have through the sludge box, the killing out of the mains, and then the plant rehabilitation.
But do you have to have active loans for that amount before you can apply, or?
No, but you get points if you have debt, and we have debt. And if you don't have debt, you have a real problem. I mean, it's a crazy thing, but they want communities to be investing in themselves, and you get major points for debt.
If there's no debt.
And we have debt.
Any chance that either one or both those grants are gonna get doged away?
No, not this.
Okay.
And we don't think the other, although it could come, it could come in 2 years. The folks that I've talked to say that they think it's safe this year and next year. Now, some of the transportation stuff, I think is subject.
Like with the railroad grant we applied for, we
Yes.
saw that. Because
Well, in our water projects, this is one of the biggest projects, I think.
this is priority number one, in my opinion. Yeah, because we have
of the
that.
levy.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, this is just a discussion. There's no action to take here. We're going to bring you the application. You have to have a hearing. There's a series of resolutions you remember that you have to pass, so that's all coming. But Marita wanted us to remind you of it this meeting, and you'll be seeing this in the future.
You know, I like the fact that this is brought up ahead of time and we can
Yeah, me
try to
too.
understand it better and.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about $600,000, I think it's important to let you know as soon as possible.
Helps us explain it to constituents.
Well, it's a big step towards doing some of the things we said we were gonna do.
Right.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll move on to item number 10. Did you get everything you needed, Nate?
I did.
All right. Consider approval of an amendment to Chapter 5, Section 2, and Section 5A of the City of Perry Municipal Authority Personnel Manual concerning appearance. City of Perry and the Perry Municipal Authority concerning appearance. I'll hand that over to you, Nate.
Yeah, so this is a policy we've looked at for quite a while. It's something that's really tough to know exactly what to enforce in a business environment, but just we wanted something that was a little bit more specific so that if managers had to tell an employee, hey, listen, we'd like you to clean up your appearance at work, we would have something to go off of. Our current policy just is really vague in general, and this is an attempt to make it more specific and enforceable.
You can actually see the policy on page 2, tab 10. It's 3 sentences long, and so we've provided more guidance.
It was bad.
Is this the one you said you had some employee discussion on? Or
Christy, have you guys talked about this yet?
Yes, we have talked about it in the past, and we're actually having another staff meeting tomorrow in order to discuss the possible change, if there's a change.
So yeah, this really applies for, we understand, a lot of our people are either in uniform already, or they're not in uniform because they're jumping in holes and digging in mud. Which this is not meant to apply to those individuals, but rather it's meant to apply more to the city hall and the library staff, anyone working in an office type setting, just to set a standard of behavior there. So.
Can you read that? I don't have it.
Sure. Yeah, the policy. It's
It's
a little,
paragraphs.
it's a
So-
little bit
Need to
long, but
spell it.
I certainly can.
Let's put it
Yeah.
down. I thought she said it was just 2 sentences.
No, it's not.
The current one is.
The current,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this one's more like 2 pages.
If you want, I've got it right here.
Where is it?
Item 10.
These are not items.
I just didn't want to get like halfway through and you guys are all like looking around at me like, how much longer is he gonna go?
So much for that hour.
Hate to read, yeah.
Derek's already shot the air.
You want to read this?
Big hope so, brother.
Well, I think it's really important that people portray themselves as proper business manners and dress so. And I have been really discouraged a lot the past few years in the differences in offices and a lot of our places in this community that I go in and I'm kind of embarrassed that maybe somebody from another town would come in and see how office people are dressed and conduct themselves. And I personally think every place needs a dress code. I know I saw an old picture of my little sister as a waitress many years ago the other night, and she had on a white uniform with an apron and looked so spiffy. And even nurses, you go in now, they don't care how they look. And I just think it's a disgrace. And if somebody doesn't start making a stand to make people realize there is a standard, how are we ever going to get there again? And I just, like I said, when I go to church, you used to dress up to go to church. And now sometimes I'm really embarrassed at how people have such a disregard. And you go in Walmart, you almost have to close your eyes sometimes. It's just.
I was gonna say, have you seen the website?
I have. But I just, I think it's really important. And cleanliness too is such an important thing.
Well, I had, when you have people come in and they're got like the tank top type shirts on, and I wanted to say something, but I really, technically, it wasn't not appropriate, but to me, it just did not look like business attire. And I really couldn't do anything about it, so I started talking with Nate about it, and we kind of went from there, but.
Well, I think it's important. And I know, even if somebody's wearing a City of Perry shirt out of town, you want it to still represent that city, or if it's, any institution where you're wearing something that is projecting their name, you want them to project it in a light that makes them look good. But I'm old-fashioned. No, but I'm not as old-fashioned as I used to be.
No, I hear you.
I don't wear long sleeves and long hair and a bun on my head.
Well, there's been places I've worked where, there's nothing in place, and so it's awkward as an employee to know even like what you should wear. It's like you kind of look to your manager and, okay, he's wearing a polo today and jeans, so maybe I'm okay, but it's just so much better to have a standard in place so people have something to refer to.
I think it still allows for a casual Friday or those things, so.
Yeah, we still want to do the casual Fridays, and, yeah, it's just, you want,
As guidelines.
yeah, you just gotta have some guidelines. So in the event you have somebody walk in that's, you're going, you
It's
can't
too
wear that.
casual.
They're going, really? Show me where it says I can't.
Should whoop it.
I agree with policy myself.
So yeah, this one's a personnel manual update, so it would need council approval to
I'm
move forward.
good with it.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Coffee?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Goldar?
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Can you go to Homeland in pajamas?
Item 11, consider approval of resolution number 2025-04, appointing a person to serve on the election committee of the Oklahoma Municipal Power Authority. Anybody want to talk about this one?
Well, the person that you appoint very well may be a member of the Board of Trustees of the Oklahoma Municipal Power Authority, and I imagine that they will be. And I think that, that I had sent you, each one of you, a email making a recommendation. And I have no problem being transparent about that. I went to Autumn's party and said I remembered the first day that she began. It was my 19th year, so I've been here, I've been here a long time, and it's important to get the right person on that board because they can do us so much help. And I for one have been just impressed with Nate and really feel that he would do OMPA a good job and would do the city a good job. So, as you know, I did make that recommendation to you.
I agree with your recommendation, and I think too it will help Nate to be able to get out and to become acquainted with more Oklahoma ways and to meet the people that he needs to meet. Contacts are such an important thing in the business world, and so I would highly recommend Nate.
Is that something you want to take on?
I'd love to do it. Yeah, I think it's somebody, I don't remember who I was talking to, and they said, are you too busy? And my answer was kind of, well, I'm very busy, but this is very important, so I think I'd be happy to do it.
That was gonna be my question is,
Is anybody else?
your workload.
Yeah, it's,
I sure wouldn't want to take away from anything you're doing here.
yeah, there's always a lot, a lot to do. There's always something, but
And you got young kids at home.
yeah.
They probably want to see you at some point, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at balancing, being salary, it's, the flexibility it gives me in my schedule is really nice to be able to swing home. Like I was home earlier today and knowing that I would be here tonight. But yeah, I think this gives me an opportunity to kind of continue to fight in behalf of Perry's interests. To have someone on that board I think is important, someone who's going to represent what Perry needs. And this would give me an opportunity to do that. So.
Well, I would love for you to do it, so what do we need to do? Just make a motion?
Yes, approve the resolution and insert his name.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-04, appointing Nate as the appointee.
And I second the motion.
Thank you.
And Coffee.
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldine.
Yes.
Rupp.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Item 12, consider approval of the interlocal cooperative agreement with the 8th District Attorney's Office Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force and Violent Crime Task Force.
So you may remember we approved this last year for the calendar year 24. Now it's calendar year 25. It's the same agreement with just one slight change in how the funding is divvied up in case of a drug seizure or something, or cash seizure. But anyway, I brought Richard here to talk about it because he's on the task force and he can answer any questions.
Good evening, everyone. So this MOU agreement, there's only one change from the previous one that's already been agreed to. So what that change is actually for the financial disbursement through seizures and forfeitures. The current already signed upon agreement went 90% to the district attorney's office, 10% back to the agency who had a TFO onto the task force. This MOU's changed now. The only thing that's changed is now that's a 50-50 split instead of a 90-10. And so all that money is, if there's a seizure that happens, that involves like Perry, then that 50% of that money from the seizures and forfeitures would come back towards the Perry Police Department instead of 10%.
Richard, can you maybe tell the council a little bit about your experience so far and how it's helped you maybe grow and how it's benefited the city?
Yeah, so since I've been on with the district attorney's office now, I mean, it's been phenomenal. Those guys have been absolutely great for us and for the police department. I would say they come down here a lot. I utilize them a ton. It's nice to be able to just have the resources to be able to call somebody and say, hey, this is what I got going on. Can somebody come help me? And it's the same vice versa. I go help them when they call. I've probably taken way more advantage of them. They probably spend about 90-95% of their time down here. So it's a nice little shake-up. And since we do this, I mean, there's a lot of things that we kind of share in between. There may be something that I come across here that I deal with here that I haven't experienced or got to do with something yet. And one of the TFOs who maybe is assigned to Ponca City Police Department or Tonkwall, Blackwell, kind of wherever, they may already have that experience, and we just kind of network and share a lot of that information. And since with a lot of this, I mean, our relationship has grown a lot with the DA's office, as well as OBN, Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics. I utilize them a lot. They've been fantastic. It was kind of one of those, beforehand, I mean, we kind of had access to them, but we really didn't have access to them. So now they've been really great. But being on with the task force, I mean, it's opened up a lot of other stuff even for the future that with what things that we kind of already got going on. So far, I mean, we've produced a lot of narcotics investigations going on here in Perry, along with a lot of other embezzlement investigations and stuff like that. I've helped them with some stuff in some other some other communities through the district, and it's been great. So, you guys have any questions or
just so everybody knows, this is a year old, right?
Yeah. So I was cross commissioned with the task force. It was in 2024. I'm wanting to say it was kind of about the end of July, 1st of September, I think, right in there. So it's been just short of a year. I got on with them, and we kind of did a couple things together, but really I would say it's probably about September is when we kind of really started ramping up and doing a lot of things. It's been great. Like I said, they've been great to us. They've actually paid for me to go to training and paid for the hotels for me to go to some trainings. So it's been pretty phenomenal. So.
This is something that we have been part of in the past, correct?
Correct. So the last time that Perry had somebody assigned to the task force would have been Josh Carson. I believe Josh left around 2015, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'd be the first one since then. So.
Long time. Glad you're on there.
Thanks.
So how do they divvy up the caseload, or I mean,
so typically
90% of it be Ponca City, or I mean, are we getting our fair share of the drug enforcement?
Yeah. So no, I understand where you're coming from. So typically everything I do is pretty much here. I would say, like I said, when I say 95% of the time, it's literally 95% of the time. So I go up there and assist them, and I might only be up there for a couple hours, and then I'm back down here. I still do all my normal stuff before I was onto the task force, my normal investigations before then. Since then, it's really opened up the narcotics aspect of it, along with the others, and it's helped advance the others. When it comes to the caseload aspect, 99% of my caseload is Perry related. I would say that there's only been 2, maybe 3 cases that have been assigned, that they've asked and been assigned to me. So typically what they'll do, there's me and then there's the investigator for the sheriff's office. If they have something that they're wanting us to do, what they'll do is they'll typically come to me and say, hey, is this an investigation? It's more of a financial aspect. Is this something that you could look into for us? Then what I do is I'll take that to Lieutenant Dudry, who's my direct supervisor, and say, hey, this is what the task force has asked, yay or nay. And then he will either say, yeah, go ahead and do it, or no, don't do it. Like I said, they've only asked me to do like 2 or 3 cases so far, and all of them have came back to at least Noble County. So, but it's still one that 99% of everything I do is all related to Perry.
I got one more, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is subjective, but after you've been on here for a year, do you feel like you being a part of that task force is helping the city of Perry and the county?
Yeah, I think so, without a doubt. There's a lot of stuff that I do now with the help of the task force that hasn't been done in years. Just mainly because of manpower, resources, training, and knowledge and stuff like that. So.
Thank you. Yeah, so this one, like, we approved it last year, but at new year, we need to approve it again. I'm the one who actually signs for it, so I'm just looking for council approval to go ahead and sign that agreement. If you're,
I'll move to approve it.
I think.
Second.
thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Okay, and Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, item 13, authorize city manager to execute the supplemental watershed agreement number 8 for the Upper Black Bear Creek Rehabilitation Project, dam number 62.
So this has really been Bryce's baby. Some might say it's been his damn baby. So I'll maybe let him talk to it a little bit, if that's all right, Bryce.
Oh, no. As you know, we have this memorandum of understanding with the federal government, with the state government, and the county, and some agencies on this dam, and it's going to take everyone cooperating to get it done. You know, that dam goes back to the 40s. It's amazing how far back, and it's been used. You know, its basic place is flood control. It's got lots of other purposes for us. Of course, it's water too, but the original watershed agreement was passed in 1963, and the last time it was supplemented, that supplement number 7, it was literally 13 years ago, and of course costs have gone up dramatically since that time. The question that I had when I received this, there were 2 questions. One was that the county wasn't a signator on the back of the document, and Jennifer, who I spoke with, she works with
The Conservancy District?
Yes.
Will County Conservancy.
she said, well, they're not a signator. And, oh, no, they are. No, they're not. We are. I said, no, the county is, because I amended the agreement to provide that the county was, and the county's a sponsor, just like we are, for the purpose of building the road and paying for the cost of the road. Not for the cost of acquiring the interests. That's what we're responsible for. So although there's not signatures there, they're going to change it to get the signatures there. The second question that I had was the number for the cost share under sponsor land acquisition rights, because that's 1.238 million, and I know that we haven't spent that much. And so we checked and we haven't spent that much, and then we checked and they said that's an estimate. Just upping the costs under a cost of living analysis, that's what they anticipate to be. But I'll tell you that that we're coming in under that once we get this finalized, and really substantially under that. We're coming under that by more than 30% under that number.
But the vast majority of those have already been paid and approved, and
Yes.
yeah.
And except for the executive session, which we're not going to have tonight, that we're going to put off and try to get that thing finalized. So, it doesn't really do anything, except it adds a new supplement to the back. Now, when you talk about Dodge, I'm not worried about the federal part. I've always been worried about the state part a little bit, okay, because those dollars, how they get appropriated and exactly what will happen. I still don't fully understand why they took the grocery tax off, and I think we've seen what the impact of that is on the state budget, and some of the things that the state is considering doing there. But I have been told that that's all going to hold. And we've talked about a project time starting real soon, so.
Yeah, we're getting close with this. I mean, we have some movement of some pipelines, but this is kind of the next step in that process, right, Bryce, is to get this signed and
Get this moved on. That's the utility line realignment, and I finished one of those documents today. Co has been meeting with Logan Rural 3, and then we've been meeting for a while with the oil and gas companies. They're of course easier. The chairman of Logan County 3 is one of the gentlemen whose home we adversely affected, but that we paid and paid well. And so we will be having that agreement, come to. But this is all going to become a reality very shortly. These things are going to all start happening, and I know it's been a long time in planning. So we would ask for your approval of number 8, supplemental number 8.
Any questions?
I'd make a motion that we authorize the city manager to execute the supplemental watershed agreement number 8 for the Upper Black Bear Creek Rehabilitation Project, bid number 62.
Second.
Hancock,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. I was at that beginning and I'd like to see it finished. Seems like it's been forever.
Item 14, any new business? Seeing none. As Bryce mentioned, item number 1 here, we don't have anything, it's getting close, but we're not quite to having it finalized, so we'll skip that for this evening. So consider convening into executive session for the purpose of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the creation of a proposal, including the sale of real property to entice new business to locate at the Perry Industrial Park. If public disclosure of this matter would interfere with the development of proposal and/or violate the confidentiality of the business pursuant to Title 25, Section 307C.11 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended.
So moved. Second.
Hancock,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Okay.
Done it?
Motion to reconvene?
Second. Okay, ready? Coffee,
Yes.
Sweatso,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, item 17, consider giving the city manager authority to approve and execute letter of intent agreement with third party for the prospective sale of certain real property after the fulfillment of certain preconditions in order to locate a new business at the Perry Industrial Park.
So,
Second.
Who's second?
There were a couple. Pick one.
So I thought I heard a whole bunch of voices. Okay, Coffee,
yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. I make a
What number
motion
was
to
it?
adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Trying to get to the next agenda here. All right. I'd like to call to order the Perry Municipal Authority meeting. It is 8:04.
Coffee,
Here.
Bledsoe,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
Davis. Here. Goldar,
Here.
Rupp,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown,
Yeah, here.
Wortham.
We have a quorum. We have item number 1, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right. We don't have anybody new walked in, so we'll go to 5, consider approval of amendment to Chapter 5, Section 2 and Section 5A of the City of Perry and Perry Municipal Authority Personnel Manual concerning appearance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Any new business? Seeing
Motion to
none?
adjourn?
Second. And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of Perry Facilities Authority at 8:05.
And Coffee,
Here.
Bledsoe,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
Davis. Here. Goldar.
Here.
Rupp,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Brown.
Yes.
Wortham. I got you. You're good.
She's here. All right. Consent agenda, we have one item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Nobody here to comment. We have item number 5, consider approval of the purchasing manual for the Perry Facilities Authority. This was approved earlier in PFA Holdings. And it's similar to the city's purchasing manual. Anything
We just
else?
never adopted it here. It's more useful over at Holdings because they're spending all the money. And if you remember, up to $15,000, you don't have, there are no real bidding requirements. 15 to 30, it's oral quotes. 30 to 100, it's oral quotes or written quotes. And then over 100, there's a whole purchasing process. That's what you're under right now for your other authorities. Today, they voted that in for PFA Holdings. We're asking you to approve this here. Although you don't have a lot of expenditures, we just think you should adopt this.
I move we approve the purchasing manual for Perry Facilities Authority.
Second.
And Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Goldar,
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Yes.
Williams, Burner.
Yes.
Any new business?
Motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Second.
Jumping the gun. I'm out of here. Coffee,
Yes.
Bledsoe,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Rupp,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.